Okay, so you're a founder that's built something amazing, or you've got an awesome product, but the sales, you just can't stomach it. The thought of being pushy or salesy just makes your skin crawl and gives you the ick, and you'd rather avoid it completely or just have it outsourced, but you realize that at the moment, you're the only person that can sell the product. Have no fear, founders who hate selling actually become some of the best sellers, and often it just involves a simple mindset shift. And you actually have one advantage, which I'm going to tell you later on. So I'm going to give you a 5-step framework where any founder, even if you don't like sales or hate being salesy, can follow and turn simple conversations into high value deals. It's the same process I've used to scale a team from 0 to 1.2 million in a month. And it's a sales process that I've used to coach founders to generate over 185 million pounds in revenue. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn conversations with your prospects into deals without being salesy and being true to yourself and your values. Let's dive in. So tip 1 is the foundational mindset shift. The biggest thing you can do to improve your sales and your ability to enjoy sales, I know it sounds mental, is shifting your mindset. People think selling is about selling and it's about being salesy, but that's not the truth. The best salespeople go in with a mindset of how you can help that customer. The biggest mindset shift for me when I was talking to customers and when I first started getting better at sales was I stopped talking about things I did and what I could do to sell to the customer. And I started going into the conversations with a mindset that said, I don't care if we do business or not. I'm going to try to help you understand something about your business. And if we can work together, then brilliant. But if not, that's absolutely fine. The best thing that can come out of this conversation is I teach you something you didn't know about your business. The reason that's so effective is it helps you detach from the outcome. People don't like being sold to and they don't like speaking to needy salespeople. Whereas if you go into a conversation as an advisor and have a mindset where you're trying to help them, you won't come across salesy. But the bizarre thing is that will make you better at sales. And also helps you going into the conversations. If you know that you're going into those conversations and you can say, actually, based on what I've heard, probably not a good fit. I don't think we can help you. That's the most powerful thing you can do. You leave with your credibility intact. That person will probably recommend you to anyone who knows that you will get value from your product or service, and you get the sense of the self-worth from being able to tell a prospect that you didn't think it was a good fit. Next tip is lead with a value first offer. So what do I mean by that? The way to do this, especially if you're selling services or high ticket, is to lead with something that's low ticket or free and gives you an opportunity to demonstrate value. People, especially when you're talking to cold traffic, don't have any trust or credibility baked in. It's up to you to earn that. So by packaging up something that is a low ticket or free offer of a little bit of value or a little bit of a taste of what your product does, it will bring prospects to the table and then they can sample what it's like to deal with you before committing to the full amount. It's like saying, I'll go on a date with you, but we're not getting married yet. And that's what you want to say. And you want to make it easier for prospects to go on a date with you, find out whether you want to work together or not before committing to a higher ticket. An example that might be a keynote workshop. So if you're an expert in a specific field, offering a keynote workshop or a sample workshop or a diagnostic workshop on something that will be valuable to the client. If you're selling a product or a SaaS, then it might be a taste of a sample bit of the SaaS or a free trial for a little bit and just making sure that the prospect understands how they can get the most out of that product. But lead with value that's low risk and low commitment from the customer and will give them a chance to sample your products first up. An example of a value first is a free workshop. So we do something called an AI in sales workshop where we say, hey prospect, if you want to come on call with us, we will talk you through the tools and the process that we've used to scale multiple different businesses like yours and have millions to revenue. We'll share the exact tools, technology, and share the insights that other companies are doing. Would you have any objection in a conversation? And it's something that's very easy for someone. If they're looking to solve that problem, they can agree to that. Next tip is cheat phrases for asking questions. So one of the biggest problems that founders I have speak to when they don't like sales or being salesy is that a prospect will give a vague answer and then they won't feel that they can ask a question because they feel that it's contentious or they feel that they've got no right to ask that question in that environment. One of the easiest ways to overcome that is to make sure that you have a cheat sheet of words and phrases that you can use that make it easier to get the information that you need. You have to get information if you're going to close sales. So when customers give you vague answers about revenue or the number of sales or metrics that you need to know, it's really important to ask the prospects. By having these cheat phrases, it will make it easy for you to ask. The first one that I recommend that you all use is, if you feel scared about asking that question, then say, do you mind if I ask, before you ask the question. It's a simple trick, but it's so effective, because if you ask, do you mind if I ask, before asking the question, you've got a get out of jail free card. If they do say, yes, I mind that you ask, then you've not done any harm. But in all honesty, 99% of the time, if you say, do you mind if I ask, what's your revenue at the moment? You'll get the answer that you need. That'll be incredible information that you can use to do a much stronger proposal. The other one is when someone gives you vague information, or they just give you a snippet of information and you want them to expand. Don't be scared to ask them to expand. Say, that sounds really interesting. Can you expand on that? Or, that sounds really interesting. Do you mind walking me through that? And all you're looking to do is to get the prospect to open up or loop back around so they give you much better information. And then the next technique for this, which is one of my favorites, is one that's been made famous by Chris Voss. If you've read Never Split the Difference, you'll understand this. If you haven't, then I recommend you read it. It's a great book. Use a technique called mirroring. And this is where if a prospect doesn't give you the right information or gives you a little snippet and you want to learn more, you simply repeat the last bit of the sentence back to them and then stop speaking, which then makes them expand on it. An example of this is follows. We're just not really spending much at the moment. To which you would say, you're not really spending much. And then you can feel, because you've said that naturally, then the prospect will then, it's just that we've had a spending freeze for Q4, so we're not really going to be spending much at all this year. My budgets have been really cut significantly. We're about 5,000 now, we're about 10,000. So you can see, you can use it again and again. If you get chance, the next person that you speak, when they're in a conversation, when they finish that sentence, do it back. You can do this with your spouse, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, teacher, colleague, workmate, whoever. Just repeat the last bit of the sentence back to them and then see and watch them open up. You can do it 3, 4, 5 times sometimes and get really deep information. When you're talking to someone in a sales conversation, poor salespeople or average salespeople, when you listen to a conversation with a customer, it'll skim. The conversation will skim. It'll be a really shallow conversation that will go from one question to another, like What really good salespeople do is they dig down into the impact and the implication of the questions that they're asking. And mirroring is a great way to do that. And the next tip is when you're dealing with objections, everyone thinks about objection handling as being this superstar skill. But in fact, most objections you get in a sales process are actually just smoke screens for other things. So if you know that the objection isn't probably real, then the most important thing is to find out what's behind that objection rather than try to overcome an objection that isn't a thing anyway, if that makes sense. So when you get an objection like it's too expensive, rather than thinking, I need to try and combat that or overcome it and say, well, it's not expensive compared to XYZ, which doesn't make any sense. Try to understand what the person is saying. So if they say it's too expensive, ask them to clarify what they mean, because when someone says too expensive, that could mean any number of things. It could mean they don't have the money in their bank account. It could mean you're too expensive compared to someone else who's offering the exact same thing for less money. It could mean they don't believe that you will deliver on the promise that you say you're going to deliver, so therefore it's expensive for what you're charging. So ask questions and seek to understand before you try and overcome anything. A really easy way of doing that is when someone says it's too expensive, you can just say something like, do you mind if I ask you to expand on that? Or, do you mind if I ask what you mean? 99% of people can get better at handling objections if they just seek to understand what the actual objection is. A really easy way of doing that is using the technique that we've just mentioned, which is mirroring. If someone says, I just think you're too expensive, you need to know the reason why. So you just say, too expensive. The important thing is that you're quiet so that you get the answer. And if you get a vague answer again, then repeat the mirror. Go back until you get the answer behind the answer. What most people say is when they say it's too expensive, they're normally thinking about some other thing. It's like they're comparing you to someone else. Once you've got clarity, then you can overcome it. Right, real quick. If you want more information about handling objections, I'm going to do a video. Just click like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing some content over the coming weeks on how to specifically come objections like we haven't got time, it's not the right time, not the budget, you're too expensive, and things like that. You have to be subscribed, so turn your notifications on and then you'll get notified when we post more videos about those specific objections. Plus, if you want to know how to handle any specific objections, drop them in the comments below. And the last big tip is to treat your proposals like a recommendation, not a sales document. And this is one of the best hacks ever. If you treat your discovery like you're trying to help someone understand their business, and you understand what problems they're trying to solve and the impact of those problems and the cost of inaction, then your proposal should read like a recommendation on understanding, this is where you are now, Mr. Customer. This is what you're wanting to get to. These are all the reasons that you can't get there and the implications of you not getting there. This proposal is a step-by-step framework from how you get to place A, where you are, to place B, which is your dream outcome. And it should be written in a way that says, look, we understand your problems. This is what most people do. This is why it's not going to work. This is why the best route forward is us. Here's the proof, and it should walk them through a step-by-step guide on how they can get what they want. The fact that it's your product or service should almost be irrelevant. It's saying, we understand where you are and this is where you get to. These are the steps that you need to take. Oh, by the way, it's with our product or service. And that's it. So the golden rule that ties everything together. At every stage, all you want to do is ask, do I understand what's going on here? Information is the currency of sales. The more information you have about a deal, the prospect, their point of view, the metrics that they're using, the better the chance you have of winning the deal and putting a proposal forward that's going to tick all of those boxes. So the more questions you ask, better questions are obviously preferable, but generally the more questions salespeople ask, the higher their close rate, because the quality of the information that they get will be superior. If you've got superior information, you know what to put in your proposals, you know how to present it, you know what to say to different stakeholders as they come on, and it makes everything much easier. And the last tip, which is a bonus tip, which is bam fam. When we speak to founders who are scared of sales, they don't want to push or be seen as pushy or trying to push the sale forward. But that often means that they just get forgotten about. People are busy, and just because they don't reply to your email doesn't mean that they don't want to solve the problem that you solve. If you use BAMFAM, which is book a meeting from a meeting, it makes everything a lot easier. All you need to do is at the end of the call, whatever part of the sales process you are at, okay, you just make sure that you've got a date in the diary when you finish that call. It would sound something like this. Okay, look, you say you've got to talk to your FD. When do you think that will be? I'll probably speak to him next Friday. Okay, great. Would you have anything against putting a catch-up in for the following Monday, and then we can see where we are and I can get the feedback from the FD and put it into the next steps? No, not at all. Brilliant. And get it booked in. The other key thing to do is when you're positioning the meeting, don't say we're just going to touch base. No one likes touching base. There's no value to that. So try to make sure that there's a clear action to take at that next meeting. So if they've spoken to the FD, the purpose of that meeting would be to clarify any queries or questions that the FD has raised and then answer them back in a proposal. If they're having an internal meeting or a stakeholder meeting, then it'll be a chance for them to field all of their questions so that you can answer them and help them move forward. So again, book a meeting from a meeting. It will massively help you keep control of the sale without having to be pushy or wondering about chasing up or touching base. And there you have it. 5 steps to sell authentically. And even if you don't like sales, you can implement those today. So be a helper. Lead with value, ask gentle questions, use our secret questions to extract more information, reframe objections as smoke screens so you just seek to understand before you do anything about overcoming them, and then make recommendations in your proposals as opposed to trying to sell. Remember, sales isn't about being slick, it's about being genuinely helpful. If someone has a problem and you can help them solve that problem and they trust you that you are able to deliver on that promise, they will do business with you. We just have to help them understand the nature of the problem, the impact, and why we're the best solution for them. If you want help building a sales process for your business, or you want me helping to coach you to close more deals, then you check out the link below. You can book a call with me and get a free coaching session, and we'll talk about your goals and aspirations. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.